Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, Rabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Alhamdulillah, with the grace and the mercy and the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we continue da'wah from Khalifa Education Foundation and Post-Islamic Psychology Center. For us to transform the ummah, we have more than 600 videos, and we are helping to train as many young people as possible to become PIP life coaches. They study motivation, coaching, mentoring, counseling in Islam Heart of Love, using all our videos, the 600 plus videos. And in the way that we have to do this da'wah in the 21st century, moving from traditional da'wah to this integrative post-Islamic psychology da'wah based on our book, Post-Islamic Psychology, a Transcendent Model to Achieve Peace, Happiness and Success. So I've given you the idea about the nature of belief. I'm going back to the Kalam cosmological argument to give you a foundational approach so that when you are meeting atheists, you can have a good hujjah, not argument, a good discussion. And then if they believe, alhamdulillah, they don't believe, that's up to them, because since the time of Rasulullah, since the time of all the prophets, they were atheists those days, they were atheists today, they will be atheists in the future. So whoever doesn't receive the nur, the light, the hidayah from Allah, they will not have it. So what we do is, we have a purpose, we have this understanding, but most important is our iman, our heart is linked to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the certainty of iman. We have the three levels I have mentioned to you: iman, ilmul yaqin, iman ainul yaqin, and iman hakul yaqin. So we have this belief system, the attributes of Allah, and the religious principles, how the beautiful deen of Islam came with the revelation to our whole Prophet Muhammad SAW, and through the tabi'in and so on until today, where we have this ahkamul syariah, the secondary principle ahkamul fara'iyah and ahkamul asliyah. And then we explain about the 20 sifah based on Ash'ari Maturidi Kalam, alright, all the 20 sifah. And we have given you the basis of understanding. The most important sifah is the sifah that belongs to Allah. That means the wujud of Allah. So our claim that is Allah is an essential being, His existence is intellectually essential, and He is not created being. A created being is an accident or a contingent being. Okay, so we have explained to you the categorical syllogism, first figure mode. Our proof is that because Allah is one whom the universe essentially needs. That means this universe is created, so it needs a creator. All those whom the universe essentially needs are essential beings. So if this universe is created, then there must be an essential being that put this all into place. Therefore, the essential being is Allah. Alright, so I have explained this in detail. And Al-Ghazali also explained the same thing. His cosmological argument is, if the universe began to exist, that means we know that the universe began to exist 13.7 billion years ago, then the universe has a cause. So some cause, whether it is God or whatever cause you want to call, but it is a cause. Okay, the universe began to exist, therefore the universe has a cause. So this cause, then we have to find who this cause is. Is it God? Is it quantum gravity? Is it what? Alright, so for those who are atheists, they want to draw away. They say, okay, there are multiple universes, and it's just energy. Even if they say it's just energy, who created the energy? Or if they say, okay, it's just quantum vacuum, who created the quantum vacuum? So they cannot run away from the fact that there is a cause. So that cause, you can call God, you can call quantum vacuum, you can call nothingness, you can call anything under the sun, but they have to agree there is a cause. So then our proof is to prove that this cause is eternal. That means the existence of Allah is real. So the minor premise that we have mentioned just now, the premise here, alright, the minor premise is because Allah is the one whom the universe essentially needs. So we prove this minor premise. Alright, the universe is an accident, so this universe is a created thing 13.7 billion years ago. All accidents need an initiator. Alright, so somebody has to initiate this, therefore the universe essentially needs an initiator. Alright, so this is the minor proof, our syllogism based on the proof of the first subject predicate of the previous syllogism. So this is the second syllogism proving the minor proof. And then we have the major proof. Alright, so if we go back to the major proof, alright, And all those whom the universe essentially need are essential beings. Major proof. So we want to prove this. Alright? Major proof. If they are not essential beings, then they must be accidents. That means if this universe is created by something that is not essential, that means essential is there's no beginning, no end, then they must be accident. They must be themselves be created. All accidents need an initiator. Alright, so they need a creator to get them going, initiator. Therefore, they need an initiator is a conclusion. So we prove that with this major proof that only essential being can create this universe. So this is the second proof. Because if this initiator needs another initiator until the end, there's no end. I've given you in the previous video that is this result in an ending chain, tasasul, and therefore it's absurd. Or it returns to the first initiator with the intermediaries. That means A created B, B created A, and so on. Or A created B, B created C, D, and then back to A. So this is Ad-Dawr. I've explained Ad-Dawr. So therefore the statement that leads to the statement they need initiator is absurd. And again, the statement which led to the statement they are not essential being is also absurd. So when the absurdity of the statement they are not essential being established, then the opposite statement is they are essential being is established. That means Allah is the essential being that created this universe. Alright. So I have given you the previous video, Ad-Dawr, the running around, and the perpetual section, the unending chain, is also absurd. So how can we prove that? Using congruent axiom, mathematical axiomic understanding. The reason for the absurdity of the unending chain, there is a chain that is unending, is evident from the proof of congruence. Let us imagine two lines, one starting from infinity and the other and ending at the First World War, and the other also starting from infinity but ending at the present time. So there are two lines, one from infinity to First World War, one infinity until now. So these two lines are parallel lines. Okay, so either one of them or both of them cannot be the same. If one, alright, for example, if the two lines end together, then every one of the two lines has a limitation. So they are limited being, so they cannot be essential being. This is again the present of the argument. If the two line does not end, then they necessitate in the two unequal thing being equal. So this is equal to this. Also it's absurd. Alright, so this line is equal to this line, which you know is not the same. Alright. Therefore the second one too must have limitation because it is longer than the first one. So the second line is longer than the first one, but this one also has limitation to the present time. So if you look from the perspective of anything that exists from infinity to now, or anything that exists to the First World War, anything that exists from infinity to the present time, if you compare both of these two, they are unequal and they are all limited being or contingent or created being. So if we say that this atasasul, this unending chain of anything, A created B, B created C, C created D, D created E, and so on 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 and so on. If we take these two lines as one as this line, or it could be the other alternative, or it could be infinitely more alternative, this or this or this or this or this or this, they are all limited being. They are all not essential being, they are contingent. So you can say that God created from infinity to the First World War. That God is God A, God B, God C, God D, up to this first. So this is the first God. Alright, then that is not God, because then from infinity to now, He is limited by His spatial, that means time, space. So He's a limited being. Or the second one from infinity to the present time. Go on and on and on. Also more. Or the third one, the fourth one, the fifth one, until infinity. So either way you can go to infinity, the other way also you can go into infinity. They are all limited contingent being. The only way that we can then understand that the absurdity of this tasasul is that there must be an endpoint to the existence of this universe. The endpoint is the creator, the absolute creator. So how does we know the absolute creator? That's why we have the sifat, 20 sifat. Allah, Wujud, Qidam, Baka, Mukhalafatuhu, Lil Hawadithis, and so on. So He's dissimilar to any of the creation. He is all powerful, Qudra, Irada, Wahdaniya, and so on. So He's one. So all the 20 sifat comes back to prove Al-Wujud. So that's why we have a very strong definition of who is essential creator. So when we say that Allah is a creator, we prove His wujud first, both the minor and the major premise, and how He cannot be either affected by, He cannot be affected by a tasasul, an unending chain, or He cannot be affected by a dar, the rotation. These two are, in the science of kalam, in the science of logic, is illogical, rationally, mentally, mathematically illogical situation. So if we understand that, then we understand that Allah is wujud, His essential, His proof of His wujud is proven. Then we will go into the kalam cosmological argument, into fine-tuning or cosmological constant or biological life, whatever you want to do, RNA, DNA, that we will bring step by step. I want you to understand this understanding of the fundamental of the kalam argument, because this is very rational and you don't need to argue. If the person, the atheist, he sees this, he says maybe, that's good enough already. Because he cannot say okay, alright? He cannot say okay. He agreed, say for example, Imam Ghazali says, the universe began to exist. Does he believe that the universe began to exist or not? He says, yes, I believe that the universe began to exist. Then the universe has a cause. Does he believe that the universe has a cause? He says no. Then we can stop here. Okay, then that is you. Alright? So how do you explain that the universe has no cause? So he has to use the same logical axiomatic reasoning from kalam. He cannot, because nothing can create nothing. Or he says it comes from nothing. So can you give a kalam, minor premise, major premise, conclusion, your own draft of how this argument is going to go? They can't. Alright? And then later on I'll show you the fallacies of those called like Daniel Dennett or Richard Dawkins and their so-called argument. They are circular argument, or they are a dar or a tasasul. They cannot, because they do not have the basis of a logical mental framework that is rational, that is fundamental, that is easily understood. So it's very easy to understand. So Al-Ghazali says, okay, if you say there's nothing, then tell me what is this? There's no cause. Because the universe began to exist, we know it began to exist, therefore the universe has a cause. That's his very simple kalam argument. There's no need to go around beat by the bush and so on. It's very straightforward. You bring your, if the universe began to exist, or the universe does not began to exist, then the universe is eternal. That's your argument, alright, fair. Then you must then say, okay, now the universe is eternal. Then proof. Where are your mathematical proof? Where are scientific proof? Where are cosmological proof? Where are all the proof? But those proof is what we're going to give you. So this is where we understand that from the perspective of tasasul and adar, I've explained you in detail, and from the whole logical framework of this unending chain, they are all limitation. Only the absolute creator has, from infinity to infinity, can only have that quality of this wujud of an essential being, that is, there's no beginning, there's no end. There's no beginning, there's no end. Alright, so those are the attributes of Allah, and that is the essential being that we proclaim to be our Lord, and we can rationally defend that belief, and inshallah that will strengthen our iman, so that we will be able to firmly believe of the wujud of Allah. And I will go on with this kalam cosmological argument as we develop more and more of the material in a future video, inshallah.